The first recorded signs of Homo sapiens on Earth are Homo 1 and Homo 2, two 195,000-year-old skulls found near the Omo River in Ethiopia. Since then, humankind has made its way across the world, from humble beginnings in Africa to spreading throughout the Middle East and slowly going from continent to continent. "10,000 years ago, the whole world was lightly populated, with some medium densities occurring in parts of what today is the Middle East and China. So what happened 10,000 years ago to cause such a steady and large distribution in population? The agricultural revolution. Agriculture caused a once transient population to settle in one place. In 8000 BC, human population estimates are between 5 and 10 million. Over the next 8,000 years, up to 1 AD, it grew to 200 million, with some estimates at 300 or even 600 million. The Industrial Revolution brought a great change. It had taken all of human history until around 1800 for the world population to reach 1 billion. The second billion was achieved in only 130 years. The third billion in less than 30 years. The fourth billion in 15 years. And the fifth billion in only 13 years. In 1970, there were roughly half as many people in the world as there are now. Since the 19th century, the global human population has grown rapidly from 1 billion to over 7 billion people, and currently increases by approximately 200,000 people per day. How long before the Earth reaches her carrying capacity? And what sacrifices are we already making to support this ever-increasing population? A larger global population has many economic benefits: greater labour force, stronger markets, increased capacity for innovation and technological advancement. But what social and ecological factors are we sacrificing in the name of the economy? Food, water and energy shortages due to increased consumption and the mismanagement of finite resources, higher levels of poverty and increased violent conflict due to inequitable distribution of these resources. It's well publicised that we are suffering from the effects of climate change due to increased CO2 emissions across the globe. There's no way to decide which one of these losses is most important. There are issues going on that are less publicised that deserve the same amount of focus. In particular, damage and accelerated species extinction resulting from the conversion of biodiverse areas into urban and agricultural land. We live in a beautiful country with large, wide open spaces. However, 85% of the population are living within 50 kilometres of the coast. This puts major stress on our coastlines. The beach is central to Australian culture, so how can we use economics to ensure our coastlines remain intact and its biodiversity does not suffer in an ever-expanding world? As long as population is rising, economic growth is needed for everyone to maintain the same standard of living. This is good news for biodiversity, because according to the environmental Kuznets curve, economic growth can be good for the environment. In the early stages of economic growth, degradation and pollution increase, but beyond some level of income, which varies from country to country, high levels of economic growth lead to environmental improvement. While it's good news that as income increases, environmental damage decreases, today's measures of economic growth do not encapsulate environmental health in their assessment. Economic growth is currently measured by GDP, Gross Domestic Product. It mainly measures market transactions. It ignores many important issues which are central to social and environmental well-being. Robert F. Kennedy once said that a country's gross domestic product measures everything except that which makes life worthwhile. Instead of using GDP to measure economic growth, what alternatives do we have to better encompass what we're doing to this world? Some other measures have been developed more recently, including the Genuine Progress Indicator, the Happy Planet Index, and the Environmental Performance Index. The best known of these is the Human Development Index, which measures how much progress is achieved in an economy. Most importantly, it measures social and environmental factors as well as economic ones. Changing the way economists all over the world measure economic growth seems like an impossible challenge. So what can we do to keep our beautiful places beautiful while still maintaining economic growth? One technique is the use of eco-certification. Along with agriculture and urbanisation, tourism can be damaging to our coastlines. Hotels, cruise ships and transportation operations, along with roads and other supporting infrastructure, generate pollution, destroy and degrade biodiversity habitats, and introduce invasive species. Eco-certification is an economic tool that can provide eco-certified operators with significant private economic benefits, such as price premiums and more customers. Initiatives like these create incentives for the tourism industry to improve their environmental performance. Consumers can reward eco-friendly establishments and boycott those that are detrimental to the environment. Another very important way to maintain biodiversity is the allocation of national parks. New South Wales National Parks and Wildlife Service manages around 8% of the land area in New South Wales. This land is committed to conservation of our state's biodiversity and cultural heritage. The National Parks and Wildlife Service is part of the Office of Environment and Heritage. This is a state government department that allocates funds in order to manage more than 850 protected areas in New South Wales, covering over 7 million hectares. The government plays an important role in the conservation of biodiversity in New South Wales. Without legislation and money allocation in the budget, these areas would be lost to agriculture, urbanisation and unsustainable tourism practices. There's a lot of common sayings about money. Money makes the world go round, money talks. However, the world will continue to spin long after humankind and currency have disappeared. And money doesn't literally talk. However, it is the language we must speak in order to effect change. Economics must evolve in order to conserve our great big global home. So next time you book a holiday, make it an eco-certified hotel. Visit a national park and think about what really makes you happy and how you'd like that to be measured.